last session, I gave you this quiz one on performance measures evaluation, and I have received 4 attempts, and I will try to talk about them. Of course, if this is your work, you may feel sad that you made mistakes, that you have not spotted, that you went into the wrong direction. That is absolutely understandable. Even more, I work with students, with some of the students individual, and we have this set of 20 to 30 quizzes, and they do quizzes completely wrong from quiz 1 till quiz 10, and then something clicks. They kind of like float into this very logics, and then they start actually getting marks in quizzes. And the same for you. You just need more practice. But it is very important to see your mistakes in order to change your answering style in future. So we have a question that is: critically assess performance measures used at annual board meeting. What is important? Performance measures. So this means that we are not going to talk about other aspects of reporting. And coming back to the analogy that I gave to you last time, performance measures means that we need to talk about John, Clark, Sylvia individually, and not about how balanced the team is. So no other aspect of reporting. And these are performance measures used at annual board meetings. That is another important piece of information. Well, actually, your question 1 is 99% likely to show you a report that is used at board meetings. And this means, first, that there has to be high granularity of your, the data should be aggregated. So this means that you have people who come from different expertise. So you have, for example, chief production officer, you have marketing officer. They are not finance guys. They do not really need much detailization. They do not know jargonism. They just want to look at the report as if it was a dashboard of a company and of a car, and just know what to do, which button to press. Another thing is that is for internal use. Investors, shareholders, bankers, nobody else cannot have access to this report. So this is completely internal. And these are the metrics that are used to manage the company, so to ensure that the company is aiming at the right direction and to correct performance if the need arises. So we have a company that is listed. It is a listed manufacturer, so it means that it has shareholders that look at some metrics that can be, that are used widely, such as market share price, such as dividend growth, such as return on capital employed, because these are metrics that are paid attention to because this is something that they have access to. If you're a shareholder, you did not see any detailization for a company. You just go to some investor agency and they just give you financial statements, and that's basically it. We are aiming at using the report at board meeting, so we need to ensure that this report helps us to evaluate how the company is aiming at mission statement. And the mission statement needs to be broken into parts, and its individual part needs to be capable of being measured by a single indicator. So that is to increase shareholders' wealth. That is 1. By producing cars that are safe, so safe cars is another goal, and that are affordable to every family in D-land. And these cars need to be affordable. And we have revenue growth, net profit, number of accidents, return capital employed, and price per model. And 12 marks. So 12 marks, including professional marks. So let us have a look. Okay, this is attempt 1, and these attempts are listed in the order of when I received them by my mail. The mission of POPA can be broken down as follows. Okay, first, to get your mark on analysis and evaluation, to get a professional mark on analysis and evaluation, you need to write the following. To be useful, performance report needs to be capable of telling the users means the board, how well the company is achieving its mission, or if the question does not have mission, but instead it calls it aim or goal, then to achieve goals. The mission of POPA can be broken down as follows: to increase shareholders' wealth, produce safe cars, and produce affordable cars. Yes, that is great. This is something that is going to bring you 1 mark. Metrics used in the report should ensure that every aspect of the mission is measured. This ensures the company is going in the direction that the mission statement intends to. Okay, so basically here you are answering this, my first comment. That's your answer should state that to be useful performance report, it needs to be measure how well the company is achieving its mission, but that is great. That is 1 mark for analysis and evaluation. However, try to make your answer shorter. These are 2 sentences that repeat each other. This means that you are spending twice as much time, which puts you at risk of being able to attempt the last of the questions. Shareholders' wealth. Shareholders' wealth, and it is very important to state what should be with the shareholders' wealth, because some companies have mission that is preserve shareholders' wealth. Some of them has increase. So for us, it's increase. Return on capital employed is a poor approximation of increase in shareholder wealth because it does not consider implication of taxes and interest payments. Oh, it leads to dysfunctional behavior because it demotivates to spend on long-term value creating activities like marketing, investing in assets, which are critical for building value in long term. Okay, look, you started here with negativism, with saying why this measure is bad. You cannot do that because the reasonable question is, if this measure is so bad, why are you talking about it in this very part? Maybe there is some other measure that can measure shareholders' wealth increase better. So what you need to do, you need to say that on one hand, return on capital employed is widely used by shareholders to evaluate their investments. So by paying attention to it, POPA will ensure that investors are happy with the results. Okay, and then we need to say, however, return capital employed is poor approximation of increase in shareholders' wealth. And now that is not very good. So you can say that, yes, it does not really talk about what shareholders get, because shareholders get money indeed after the interest was paid to the bank and the taxes were paid. But you need to ensure that your sentences within a paragraph actually are friends with each other. So in here, you say implications of taxes and interest payments. You could have said that this is important because the that share is significant for this company, or because of something else. But you need to explain why this is important. You, on the other hand, talk about dysfunctional behavior, such as non-investing in long-term value-creating activities. It has nothing to do with taxes and interest payments. So this means you will not get any marks for it. So what I would do, I would say, however, return on capital employed is a poor approximation of an increase in shareholders' wealth, and poor approximation is, well, you can say that because blah, 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 taxes and interest, and that is and that can distort the results because that low to equity is high. Yes, but you need to explain why it is. As for dysfunctional behavior, you say that you need to say that, however, return capital employed leads to dysfunctional behavior because it devalues to spend long-term value-creating activities like marketing, investing in investments that are critical for building value long-term. Why? You need to explain why. So you need to say because. Well, because it is a profit-based measure. Yes, it is based on profits. Okay, well, that part is okay. So for that, you would get 1 mark if you had this positive part first, because right now it looks like you just took something that was not needed. Okay, net profit is also a poor measure of increase in shareholders' wealth because it is subject to accounting estimates like useful life of non-current assets, which are prone to manipulation. Okay, that is good. That can be taken into account. However, start with good. So you need to say on one hand, it can, on the other hand, it cannot. Production of safe cars. Make sure that you have a spare line here because you need to get your marks on your communication. So you need to make a layout proper, easy to read. Safety of a car depends on build quality, number of airbags. Number of accidents with proper cars with death or serious injury partly measures the production of safe cars. Well, maybe number of airbags is not the only thing that makes cars safe. Maybe there is some electronic assistance that helps drivers not to get into accidents, you know, like, for example, this ABS system that helps you not to slide when it's icy road. So it's not only about airbags, it's just your general assumption. You need to look at the scenario. If it wasn't scenario, then it would be okay. Because this measure does not consider small accidents which did not lead to serious injuries or death. The small accidents could have happened due to a feature failure in a car, as such making the proper cars not safe to ride. If customers feel that the cars are safe, then they will be satisfied and recommend to others as well to purchase proper car. So a revenue growth indirectly measure customer satisfaction. This could possibly indicate that proper cars are safe. Okay. So these are two different metrics. Let's go talk about the first one. You need to be more direct. You need to talk mostly about measures, not about something else. Let us have a look at the mark allocation. We have 12 marks and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 metrics. So not more than 2 marks per metric, taking into account that we have some professional marks as well here. This production of safe cars again needs to bring us 2 marks at most. So what we need to say? We need to say on one hand, it helps. On the other hand, it will not. So on one hand, number of accidents with proper cars with deaths of serious injury helps the company to measure the success of how safe the cars are. However, on the other hand, this metric is absolute, so it does not really show the magnitude, how much of the car sold lead to death of serious injury. That is something, that is the elephant in the room that you could have talked about. Another problem is that, well, you do not know this car when these cars were sold. So is this the problem of some very senior year, or whether it's a problem of freshly sold cars? This is something that you can write about. So I would say that you could have probably gotten a mark here, but I do not really like the volume. We need to work on volume as well. While revenue growth, I would not say that this is a relevant point, because if you just bought a car and you just drive there and you do not get any accidents, you do not really know how safe it is. You don't know how safe it is until you crash into a tree and test the airbags. So I would not say that this is very relevant. It is okay that some of the metrics do not measure something, and you can say, so for example, this matrix does not measure anything. That's okay. Produce affordable cars. What I would like to change a little bit is the name of the caption. So it has to sound like a report. So instead of writing a verb, consider writing safe cars production. So we have to be to make this headers noun-based. Price per base model directly measures whether proper is producing affordable cars. Okay, you need not really, however, without an industry average to compare with it, will be not possible to come to the conclusion whether proper cars are affordable. So what I would say that to the users with the general knowledge about the state of the Dylan's economy, the price per base model can indicate how affordable cars are. However, without the comparison to the person's income, to the average income per household, this perception will be very subjective, or something like that, because affordability is how much how one person needs to work to get a car. It could be also possible that price per base model produced when compared to previous year. Well, that would measure something else to improve affordability and not to make cars affordable, right? So that will not actually work. Once again, so for example, if you talk about, let's say, safety measures, right? Not safety measures, let me say, imagine we are a fashion clothes manufacturer and we want to produce quality of clothes, but we know that nobody wears, let's say, a sweater for more than 5 years. So it is okay if sweater can last for 5 years. And we do not really need to improve this lastability any further. It is just not needed because it's outside the useful life. So you would not need to measure the improvement of this metric. The same in here. So compared to previous year, not really. But if the reduced price is still higher than competitor, then customers may not prefer Prober's cars as they're costlier than other brands in the market. Well, affordability is not really about competitors. It's about our pocket. Well, for example, maybe our country is a low-income country, and I have only some posh producers such as, let's say, Audi and Bentley and so on. So even though maybe Audi is cheaper than Bentley, it is still not affordable to me. So that is not really relevant. Also, the increase in current year base model price may still be lower than the competitor's price. In the absence of comparable figure, it seems like progress cars are getting costly. Well, again, too many different ideas. Okay, what else is there? Well, then after we've discussed that, we would need to look at the mission statement again and see whether we have attempted all of the parts of the mission or not. What we could have said that their mission includes every family in the land. So maybe what we want to see is how many households do not have cars. What is the percentage of households without cars to measure our capacity? And we could have discussed that. So as mission talks about, the mission statement talks about cars being affordable to every family in the land, maybe Proper would like to measure how many households do not yet possess a car. Okay, do we have anything that was not covered? No, we do not have. We have revenue growth that does not really relate to any part of the mission, and that is something that we can say. Revenue growth does not have anything to do with increasing shareholders' wealth because shareholders care about their net result. So we need to take into account costs. It cannot say anything about how safe the cars are, and it cannot say anything about affordability. Now let's go to the next attempt and go to performance measures evaluation. So this is the conclusion assessment of the performance measures of Proper. The mission statement and strategy. Okay, strategy is not here. Strategy is something different. Strategy is how we can achieve a mission. So, for example, by our generic growth, natural organic growth, or maybe by acquisition. To increase shareholders' wealth, to provide cars, provide affordable cars for every family in the land. Okay, but in here we need to make sure that it sounds English, so we need to say to provide cars to every family in the land. Okay, again, we need to state with why we're doing that. Why breaking mission impacts to get our mark for analysis and evaluation that we cannot ignore. Okay, so this person went from KPIs, from measures to mission. It's okay. So the measure relates to the strategy of providing safe cars. This is not strategy. Strategy is how to, part of the mission. Okay, that is very important. This is like a very strong mistake. This is because of the percentage of number of accidents with Proper cars with deaths of serious injury falls. It may indicate that Proper car is improving in terms of safety. Okay, that is not an explanation. Let me show you what is not very good with this type of answer. So you state the metric, then you just state that this relates to this part of the mission, and now you try to explain, and you explain it by means of analyzing the numbers. You should not be analyzing the numbers. You would need to treat numbers as axes, because your job in this very exam to talk only about the template of the report, not about the figures themselves. So that is not an explanation that this measure helps. However, it seems not quite right to only measure the number of accidents with only serious and death, injury, and left out minor accidents that occur. This would be biased, and even though the accident does not lead to serious injury, it still indicates that Popper fails to provide safe cars for the customers. Okay, so look, in here, you are repeating yourself. What you could have said that, however, customers perceive that cars are safe when they prevent different types of injuries, not just major ones. As such, this metric doesn't measure the mission part entirely. The next part, the next sentence is off. Why? Because we were not asked to advise. This will never bring a mark because this is something that was not asked for. Return capital employed. Return capital employed only indirectly measures shareholders' wealth. Only indirectly is a negative aspect. A negative aspect, this means that we need to explain why, and preferably in the same sentence. If you just say return capital employed indirectly measures shareholders' wealth, you need to explain why it can be used as a measurement. So it will be a positive sentence. Okay, return capital employed does not measure true value of shareholders' wealth. That is the complete repetition of whatever you have just said. So this is the sentence that steals your ability to attempt the last question in your exam. This is because return capital employed have non-cash items such as depreciation, which is only accounting estimates. Okay, so here you just state that it has depreciation, but you need to explain why it is bad. It is bad because ultimately shareholders care about dividends, and dividends can be paid only if company has cash. And so I will just add here, need to state why it is important cash to pay dividends or finance other projects. EVA would be more suitable because it also considers economic depreciation. It considers economic depreciation, not equity depreciation. Capitalized cost, which will bring value in future. Okay. Your first preposition of why return capital employed is bad is based on the fact that it includes non-cash items. And as for a cost that will bring it into the future, it's not about that. It's completely different point, and you cannot mix them up. You need to explain them separately or just concentrate on explaining only one part. Okay, and when you say charges economic depreciation, you need to say why it is important. So it's to such it accounts for the actual usage of resources, but it has nothing to do with cash again, because economic depreciation has nothing to do with cash. So hence EVA measures the shareholders' wealth more accurate compared to return capital employed. Again, there is nothing new here. You were kind of like saying the same in the previous question. So too many words. You need to be shorter. Price per base model. This measure might seem to measure in providing affordable cars to the customers. This is because the price per base model may indicate whether customers could afford the car or not. So you could have just deleted that part and just left this one, and that would be the same. But again, you need to say that this will be understandable only to those people who feel the price level in the company. So if we have a person on the board who is not from this country, they will just not understand. Well, for example, I am based in Poland. And if I go on a board for a board meeting that is located in the UK, I will not really understand whether £10,000 is a lot for a car or whether it is not. If I go to, let's say, India, I will not feel whether it's a lot or not. I can only talk about the country that I'm living at. And besides, the mission is about taking these cars to every home in Thailand, and I can perceive this value based on my income and the income of my friends. That is more or less the same. I cannot think about how much or not much it is for, let's say, other people who are at lower paying jobs. So that is what you need to write shortly. However, the price alone does not able to measure whether it is affordable for the customer. This does not explain anything, so this is not a sentence that should take your time. This measurement would only be useful if it compared with the industry average. This is because if the price of proper cars is lower than the industry average, there is a chance that customers would choose to put proper cars to buy proper cars as the price would be more affordable. If that mission statement would talk about competitive prices, that would be great. But the mission statement talks about affordable prices, so not the industry average, but in relation to the average income per household. Revenue growth. Revenue growth may indirectly measure an increase in shareholders' wealth. No. That it often suggests that the business is growing and generates more income. Okay, well, the explanation, okay, this counts. Okay. The growth, but I would add here net income or more profits, just to show the examiner that you understand that shareholders do not get anything from revenue. This growth would then potentially have a positive impact on shareholders, whilst shareholders may benefit from increased revenue through higher dividends. They can benefit from increased profits, not revenues. However, companies that have high revenue may also have high operating expenses or debt, and this would then operating expenses and debt is different. Absolutely different stuff. We can have high revenue but low debt. It will just depend on the preferences of our shareholders in terms of debt equity proportion. This would then limit its ability to distribute profits to shareholders. Thus, the measure would not be accurate to measure shareholders' wealth. Okay, look, this is like a huge paragraph, and it was supposed to be for 1 mark. Well, 2 at most, but this is too much, and too much repetition. Net profit, the measure may indirectly relate to increase in shareholders' wealth. This is because an increase in net profit may indicate that shareholders will be receiving higher dividends as profitability is improving. Okay. Profitability is the relation of profit to revenue. This is a percentage, and net profit is an absolute figure. Net profit can increase, but profitability in terms of profit divided by revenue can be reduced. Profitability does not really indicate how much dividends can be paid. However, the increase of net profit may be because of cost-cutting measures, which does not necessarily bring long-term value creation if they sacrifice the customer satisfaction, quality, and innovation. And the measure alone would not be accurate to measure shareholders' wealth. Well, that is a good sentence about this cut of long-term value creating expense, but the conclusion would be that shareholders, the future shareholders' wealth can be compromised. For every family in Thailand, one of proper strategies to provide cars for every family in Thailand, it seems that there is no current measure that relates to the strategy. It seems that number of products manufactured by Thailand. Okay, we were not asked to give any suggestions, so that will not count. And your captions should be noun-based. So make them noun-based. Noun-based. Good. These are the two